writer-director Owen Kline. Okay. First of all, I want to congratulate you on the running time of 86 minutes. I think Hollywood could learn from you with this.
Well,
Superman, 2.5 hours, really?
yeah, all of it.
But this started out as a much longer movie, didn't it?
It did. It was. I had like a 2-hour movie here, and then.
But that's short now by today's standards.
Then I was cutting it for,
But
4 years or something.
But you had a
like that.
longer shoot than you anticipated.
That's usually how it goes, though.
But not 5 years.
I didn't even. I had a 2-hour movie originally, and a whole bunch of other stuff that left. This thing, but it was a situation. I didn't film an ending. I just wasn't sure what the ending would be, which
I'm so
nicely
glad-
ensured. It nicely ensured a reshoot. The benefit, if anyone, yeah, it's a good little trick there.
It's good that you didn't have an ending. You got Scott Rooney. You told me was on this project. He's not in the credits though.
Not
But
in
he
the
still
final
has-
version. Early on, he was a part of it,
But he
not
has a
anymore.
piece of it still.
No.
Oh, I thought you told me
No,
he
no,
did.
no.
But anyway, if you didn't have he would have wanted a happy ending and released it through Fox Searchlight. And you had this fantastic.
I was very
no
lucky that in the end,
compromises
the
ending.
producers of this movie, everyone else wanted it sweeter, and then I was lucky to have, no one wanted the movie, period. It was really like a 2-3 year process of just people being like, yeah, we'll get back to you, and then just never hearing from them again. Oh, you said you were going to read the script, or they did read it, and then they ghost you. A lot of, people just weren't interested in this film or this project.
Because
but then the Safdies got on board, and they were like, no, it's not fucked up enough. You know what I mean? It all changed.
The
So-
Safdies speak your language, and this is your
Sure.
world you're
Sure.
talking about here.
Yeah.
I mean, in Japan, they would call this otaku people. People obsessed with comics and video games and stuff.
Is that
like
an expression? I've never heard otaku.
Yeah. Otaku. You
Gotta
are
get out there.
otaku, so you should know that. No, you're not, because you're doing this professionally.
Yeah.
But how did this evolve? You started it when you were much younger than you are now.
Sure, I was like something, when I was 13, I'd been in the Squid and the Whale, and that project was like, I was, it suddenly realized like, oh, to make an independent, self-reflexive movie on 16 millimeter was the goal
Super 16.
since I was 14 or something. So then I finished this by I was 30, and I'm sure, I could pinpoint and go, okay, yeah, it was, I guess like, I had a little comic that I had done that was sort of a little bit, a predecessor to this, but I really started writing this movie when I was like maybe the end of college, you know what I mean? So I was 21, and by the time it was done, I was 30. So it was really like a 10-year process.
So
But 6 years of actually the thing existing, and okay, we're gonna go into production, and a year of rewriting, and then went through a million drafts of this thing.
Well, we know that it takes a long time to get a picture green lighted, and that's one thing. Then you start production, but then it took you 5 years to finish shooting, didn't it? Or 4 years? You've told me the story so many times,
There
Owen.
was 4 years of an edit, and in that time, it was like, all right, I had to kind of cut the movie in half. I took out everything that embarrassed me, which is a great thing to do. Take out everything that embarrasses you and just keep the stuff, or even the stuff that was good, just get rid of it, and then just keeping the stuff that was really working and was speaking in the same language, and then I was just looking at this thing. It was just a bunch of icebergs, basically, with some black slug, and then it was like, all right, I have to just completely wipe my head of the movie that I wanted to make, or this, and then you're looking at this, and you just treated it like found footage. I just watched it through and was thinking about how I would complete this thing, whatever this thing was, and supported it. The kid originally had a job at a parking garage, so it was like, the reason we named the comic book store The Garage was, it's just an easier swap. Anytime someone says The Garage, it actually is just more natural in some ways, just things like that. And it was like, no, the kid wouldn't work in a parking garage. I like the idea of him having like a high school job of like a night shift at a parking garage in New Jersey. Just everything about it seemed completely backwards, and it was just like a grim other atmosphere where, you know, it's just like the people parking in a garage at night. It's just a weird, sketchy, creepy place. But eventually it was just like, the kid would be working in a comic book store, you know what I mean? And it would be a comic book store. It would be a cool indie comic book store in New York. It would be a New Jersey store where, like, it's mostly a front for people playing, like, nerdy Magic the Gathering.
It's easier to
at a
cast
table and
denizens of a comic book store.
yeah, but then at his fingertips there is like he's the only kid probably, you know, pilfering through like the one adults only underground long box of comics, and you know, selling off his uncle's, you know, superhero comics that he eventually buys back once he meets Wallace for credit at the store. That was just sort of seemed like a little specific, I don't know what you want to call it, ecosystem to a store like that I hadn't seen on film.
Okay, what I was getting at
Yeah.
was, aren't there scenes that were filmed years apart?
Yes. So,
Okay,
like,
I
for
wanna hear
example,
about
like, okay,
this.
that's kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, there were some periods, we went in, it was like, all right, I had like 12 days to shoot 45 pages of new material. I had a 2-hour movie, suddenly it was 50 minutes, and then I had to make this into a fucking feature film, you know what I'm saying? So, I had to shoot 45 pages in 12 days, couldn't get back into that basement apartment. Again, I'm looking at this like found footage. Barry in the basement is going, you know, this in the first tour, this is my room, you don't need to see it, goodbye for a moment. We couldn't get back into that basement. We had uprooted this neighborhood
This
before.
was actually in Trenton?
No, it was that was actually in Vinegar Hill, that basement. We just found a great basement apartment.
In Vinegar Hill, I can see $350 a month, not in Trenton, I'm sorry.
I don't think you could. Vinegar
I don't
Hill
know.
is.
He couldn't get anything better in Trenton than for $350?
It seems to be the first place, you know, he's
Okay.
looked at, and he's
So
just
he-
like, oh yeah, this is great, you know.
So,
But so the guy,
yeah,
he's
go
just,
ahead.
you know, he goes into the room. We couldn't get back into the guy was like, sorry, no, you uprooted the neighborhood last time. I'm not letting you back into this basement. I'm like, it's been 4 years. Like, you know, everything's different, you know, like, the kids are growing up. I'm like, so I can't get back into this basement. I have this footage of Michael Townsend where I going into his bedroom. This is my room. You don't need to see it. Goodbye for a moment. So I go, we'll see the bedroom. So then we on a sound stage, we couldn't even afford a film stage. You know, we had like a photography studio stage, 4 walls. And it was like kind of like going further into the Inferno or something. Like, okay, we get to see his bedroom now, and it's like this little weird microcosm space that there's kind of opened up a little bit more, you know. So things like that. And then it's like, 4 years later, you know, we had to slap on, you know, Miles. We had to his skin had all cleared up, so we had to put all this. The first time they put it back on, you looked like a burn victim. I was like, you gotta tone that down. Like, we gotta figure out a way to make this look like acne, you know.
So they walk out the door, and like the next shot is 3 years later.
Yeah, no, you
something
see,
like that.
I had this footage of
At
him looking
Christmas.
around the
Yeah.
room, you know, and in that moment, and then Stephen, you know, the other roommate that he shares the bedroom with, kind of like peeping at Miles' ass a little bit, and then like you just cut to the toenail, and you're in the bedroom, and then he's going into that bedroom.
That
We were just
that basement is, I mean, man. It's Lynchian, it's the lower depths.
Yeah,
You know, it's
the
five-
movie.
it's
That
the
was what
5
began. The
points.
movie began with that.
Yeah.
You know, with that idea
Yeah.
of just like, no, a kid who moves into a boiler room and likes it, and then you start thinking about the background of that kind
A
of
lot
kid.
of questions to be answered on
Yeah,
that.
yeah. But should we bring the cast?
Wait, I do. I just want to say how accomplished this is for a debut feature.
Thank you.
And it premiered at Cannes.
In
Did
the
it?
fortnight, yeah. No,
Fortnight.
out of competition.
Okay, well, still it's Cannes. And you got a standing ovation? That's
They
on
always
Wikipedia.
stand. They always stand. They don't boo anymore.
3 minutes.
When was the last time they booed
3
it?
minutes it said. You know, Open City only got 2 minutes.
Were you
know.
timing it? I don't know.
All right, but it also
Put
got
me on
great
the
reviews.
spot
It got
here.
New York Times.
No,
and
it
all.
didn't.
Okay.
No, yeah, it
So
didn't.
I
No,
just
you're
want
right,
to
you're
say
right.
I
I
don't
don't
not
like to
just
talk.
because you're here, but
It's
it's a very
embarrassing.
accomplished
Thank
film
you.
for debut.
Thank you.
Especially at the age you started it, not at the age you finished But, you know, the dialogue is so fantastic. Everything.
It's like for like the 26-year-old that went in going,
Yeah, it's-
whoop-de-doo, I get to make a
But
movie.
did
I
you-
still think it's a coup. Like, I don't
It's a
understand
real
how I
coup.
was allowed to
I've
do
seen-
it.
this is the
And
third
I almost
time.
wasn't, you know, I
I
almost
would-
wasn't allowed to finish it.
Sorry,
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
want to make one more point.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
yeah.
This audience is very lucky because you just saw Owen's personal 35mm print. No other theater in America saw 35. He doesn't have the clout of Christopher Nolan yet. Not yet. This
But
was-
Christopher Nolan, if there was one spot on the
Yeah.
thing, he would like shit his pants.
Oh, that's
you know?
bullshit. Prince
He's going into
Prince
the booth and going,
Prince
"This
gets
is how you
dust,
do
right,
it," you
Shane?
know?
I mean, Prince gets dust. What can you
Why
do?
does it sound like Derek
Yeah.
Kline?
Okay. Anyway, did you do the casting yourself?
Yeah, kind
Well,
of. No, I mean, with
it's-
some help, a lot
I mean,
of help.
it's
But
like-
I mean, with Miles, I knew. I worked
Yeah.
in a video store and I met Miles when he was 11.
I
You know,
knew him before
different.
you
You bring
did.
different. Not everybody, you know.
Anyway, let's bring on the cast.
Let's bring the cast.
Right here, Miles. Miles Emanuel plays Miles.
Well, actually, I met Owen in May of 2011, and I met you in October of 2011.
Oh. Reverse those months, okay?
Because when the video store closed, he brought me to the movies.
Wait, you brought him to.
What did I bring you
We're
here?
gonna tell that.
Grand
We're gonna
I
tell
brought you
that
Grand
story. We're gonna tell that story.
Is this on?
And then we have Michael Townsend Wright, who plays Wallace.
Michael plays Aaron, but then Matt Mercer.
What?
He's Barry.
I'm sorry, he's Barry. I've only seen this 3 times. Oh, right there. That's good. And
Wallace.
I'm almost afraid to
Michael.
bring him on.
Matthew.
Michael.
Matthew.
Matthew Mayer. I did it again. He plays Wallace. Yeah. It's pronounced Mayor, okay? He just told me in the lobby. And Matthew, that was acting, I hope.
What?
What we just saw was
Yeah,
acting.
yeah.
I'm
Go
sitting
it.
next to you.
Yeah. No, it's true.
So, Owen, did you have any of these, these men in mind when you were writing the script? Any of these particular people?
Michael and Miles, who plays Miles, I had in mind. I knew Michael would be perfect for that role. That was created for you. I just thought, and you know, what I thought is particularly beautiful about it is like just having you down there. I think initially you might have tried to play him as a sort of like slobbish guy, but you're actually very classy. You know what I mean? You kind of have you have a class that kind of shines through the sweat a bit.
Well, I have to say,
Dapper basement dweller.
it would have been easy to play him.
Speak up, you have to really
Oh,
talk.
wait a minute.
You almost have to
Oh,
eat
there we
it.
are.
It's kind of.
It would have been easy to play him one-dimensional or just a complete lunatic, although I tried to, the opening thing, I think I've told you that, I was thinking Dr. Pretorius a little, from Bride of Frankenstein, that first moment. You know, the boy coming to the door. I thought you had to establish something. But then tone it down as a human being a little, and even sympathetic, and maybe sad a little, and lonely even. But I think everyone in this film has created their own little world in a way. And as eccentric as every member of the cast is, really. But still a human being, I don't mean to get ridiculous about this, but still a human being, as odd or as weird as they may be, each of them is seeking for some sort of self-respect, I think. And you established that. There were many layers. I think the first time I saw it, you invited me to the first time it was seen together, remember? In that screening room.
Over in the post house, yeah.
Yes. And the first time I saw it, it was like an exciting roller coaster ride because you didn't know what was coming next. Nothing is predictable. That's wonderful about it.
That's true.
That it's nothing cliched or typical film that, well, now they're going to do this or this is going to happen. Not a moment. It was an exciting ride. But then in subsequent viewings, many layers, which is quite wonderful, Owen. Many layers, and it stays with you. and you think of, wow, that's right, so it's quite remarkable. So kudos to my
Michael,
dear friend.
did Owen? We had Wallace's backstory. Did Owen give you a backstory for Barry, because he's so mysterious? What's his relationship with Stephen? Who's living upstairs?
I have to
You
say
know,
this,
Yeah.
even Catano, in the beginning, was he going to molest the boy?
Well, that's it.
We don't know.
No.
We don't know.
No,
I don't think so.
I think you leave that open, don't you think?
Or
Matthew, I think.
That was the point. Yeah.
were Stephen and I a threat to that kid?
Maybe he was just
I
getting.
don't think we were.
Yeah.
I look at them as overgrown adolescents
Yeah.
in a pathetic sort of sad
There's
way.
a Jerry Lewis innocent
Yes,
kind of character.
that's the way I look at it.
Sure.
So I don't think anything may have been the obvious in this whole film, really. It's up to the viewer, but I don't think so. I don't think any of those things were true.
But to answer your question from 5 minutes ago, these two guys had them in my mind. Matt came in and read, and I knew immediately.
Scott Rudin, actually, recommended it. Good job. Is your con?
Yeah.
We're good. Yeah, Scott Rudin actually pushed Owen to meet with me.
Who did?
Scott Rudin.
Oh, Scott. Oh,
Yeah.
him, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he really went to bat for me. He was a producer initially, and I had worked with him before on a play, and so yeah. I mean, I have to give credit where credit is due. I feel like I was like a big suggestion of his, and there are many more famous people who wanted to play the part. Like a lot of people who I bumped into around town had read the script and were like really wanted to do it. I mean, it was an amazing script, and everyone was like super excited about it. But so
This is like Rashomon. He said nobody was.
that's bullshit. Well,
I mean, it's gonna be Cruz, but I didn't want.
Cruise
Exactly.
like as in Tom playing
fucking
what?
exactly. Tom Cruise. No, but it was like it was like a lot of actors had like read it, you know,
Yeah.
and so it was like really special. So
Okay, we want to know how you created this amazing character, Wallace. Was it on the page?
it was on the page. It was on.
You had to have
It was on the page.
added a lot of your own stuff, and
I'm a perfectly emotionally well balanced.
It really is.
There's nothing about Wallace that I.
you're sitting next to
Yeah,
Dr. Pretorius.
Well, you know, Owen and I met for a few weeks before shooting started, and we talked a lot about the character and what had inspired him and the relationships that we had with people like Wallace in our lives. You know, like powerful, you know, demons who kind of change your life, and I had a few of those, and so we talked a lot, you know, and it was really helpful. Like, you know, like almost every day sometimes for like a few weeks. So that was really helpful. But a lot of it was like, I'm not just saying, just the way it was written, the cadence of the language is you could really take the entire performance off the page.
Yeah, except your body language is so special. I mean, the way you use your eyes, the way you walk. I mean, it's almost the Frankenstein monster at points.
Yeah.
We have Pretorius here and Frankenstein.
Well, the costume, and also the costume helped. And there was a lot of great, like all the costume designer was amazing, and the producers were great, and everybody had like Ronnie Bronstein I thought was really helpful and sort of like talking about it, and I never really felt myself making any like, this is what I'm gonna do with this character, you know what I mean? Like, this is my take, you know? I was like, I felt like this is I think the guy that we're talking about, you know?
Have you been typecast in this kind of role, or is this something new for you? That's why Scott Rudin thought of you.
Yeah,
He's a great psycho for you.
Yeah. A little, some crazy people.
Yeah.
Not to judge. But yeah, no, this was sort of new. I mean, I guess the scope was new. I definitely spent a lot of my career sort of in playing like side characters who are just like, you know, quirky or different or funny or these things, you know. It's a great lane. I'm not complaining. It's really, you get to play some great characters.
Much more interesting than what Tom Cruise gets, I think.
I don't know. You know, tomato. I love when Tom is working. You know, Tom's really working it well.
I have to say something about that.
Yeah.
I hadn't met you. Remember that first reading? We were all together
That's right.
with Scott Rudin.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to Scott, and I hadn't met you before, Matt. You were sitting over, and as soon as you began to read, I thought, this actor is amazing and wonderful and mesmerizing.
Yes.
And I mentioned that to Scott sitting next to me. So, oh, he's wonderful. So that was my first impression of you.
You're why I got the part. How do I feel?
We knew instantly.
Yeah.
The second you read it, I was like, you were ready. It was astonishing. Like
Thank you.
just like every pause, it was just like, all right, this is There's
Thank you.
pencils
I
down.
mean, again.
Okay, let's talk to my old friend Miles. I can't believe you remember the months you met both.
Well, I
of us.
have my film log, so I know.
He's on top of it.
May
He
19th.
definitely, he has the weirdest
2011.
film list I've ever seen. AI will have to figure it out. I don't think anyone can.
I'd like to, since
Yeah.
we've been talking about process
Yeah.
so much, there's something
Yeah.
I wanted to say,
Yeah.
which is that I met Owen in 2011. I first read a draft of this in 2014, and we started shooting in 2017. And then there was this whole in between, and the final shoot was 2021, which really was the thing that opened my mind about being able to make something even of this stature in any kind of way. And I made my own feature, which I shot right after Connex. I shot it 3 summers ago, which I spent about a year writing. I had a screenplay, and then the month before the movie was going to shoot, the lead dropped out, and I threw the whole screenplay out, and I wrote it in a week, what we shot, and then we went and shot it. And I'm I've spent 3 years in post after that, but I don't think I would have felt liberated to even continue doing it without the structure, if not for this.
It's
experience.
scary
I mean, we
to
spent
question your
7
own
years
instincts,
writing,
honestly.
you know.
It really is scary to question your own instincts. And go, but there was something initially that, what's the impetus of this thing, and if I toss this, then it's scary to go back in and to keep figuring it out.
Yeah.
You know, but you were in a situation where you had to. I was in a situation where, it's
Yeah,
like,
completely.
these pieces aren't working.
Miles, how old were you when you started this, and how old?
I was 15 when I read the first draft. I was 18 when we started shooting. I was 22 when we finished
Oh my
shooting.
God.
And I'm 26 now.
So you can see physics. I mean, if you
I'm
really,
not telling
if
you
you really
right now.
analyze
In that detail.
it. By the way, we
Right
have
now,
one
right
other.
now, I'm the age that he was when he
So-
started shooting.
Miles
Yeah.
started coming to our Film Forum Junior programs. I
And
started
senior.
in 2010, right?
Well, I started doing before junior.
Oh, you were
The first-
intended
the
to
first
see
movie I
Andre
saw him was
Rublev when
Weekend.
you were 8.
Weekend
Yeah.
was the first thing I saw him by Godard.
He has the weirdest taste for an 8-year-old. Unbelievable. But we have one other person in the audience who's in the movie who also started seeing
Stand up,
movies
Shane.
here. Shane Fleming, come on up. Come on up for a second. He plays one of the weirdest.
2 lines.
Give us the first line. I love it.
Got any Betty and Veronica's?
Some Jughead.
And I don't mention Jughead, but
No, the other.
The other guy.
Robert does.
he mentions Jughead.
I never mind. Okay, go back.
I gotta mention who's absent, by the way. Daniel's O'Donnell.
Yeah, we should mention Daniel.
But Daniel, who's the lead in the movie. That was another one. It was like, he came in, he came in and read, and we just knew. Like, it was instant, and it was so clear. It was like, this is the kid.
It's like 1 in a million.
Yeah. And it was so, he really set like a baseboard for the reality base in some way. Like, he's really natural. He's off the beat, in a great way. And there was just something fragile about him, and something about like the way, even when he says something dickish, it's like he doesn't want to say it. It's just coming out of him like this bile that's getting thrown up or something. It just felt like you know, like he's resisting, or you know, yeah, just a gentle. Everyone's a really gentle, tender, fragile
Well,
character.
I
in this
wanted to
movie,
ask
as
Miles.
rough as everything
Yeah,
is.
Miles. Did you want to be an actor when you were 15?
No, not at all.
I
I
didn't
didn't
know-
want to direct a movie even once I was doing it. This was all his idea.
I mean, Miles is, I have to say, he's a very sweet person, and you play that part in the movie. But Robert is so mean to you, and you take it.
Well, Owen was the same.
Owen is mean to you. But why
I
is
have
Robert so
actually a
mean
great
to you?
video. I wish I could
Yeah.
show you right now. In the midpoint of our 4 years between the shoots, where Owen has a copy of the latest draft that we were writing. He's like whacking you over the head with it, saying, "Why did you make me finish this movie? Why do I have to keep writing it?" Anyway, it's part of the dynamic, of course, with a close friend.
Well, Owen, you were very concerned that they were becoming young men by then, and they just matched it, just because they were becoming more mature as young adults. Right after that, it was like they just captured it. I think.
And
so,
it was
right
like, all
now,
right,
they
finally,
just caught it.
we're approved, we're gonna do this and that. Bang, COVID happens, and we're like, okay, more waiting.
Oh,
we have to
another
wait
one.
another fucking 2 years or
And
whatever.
by the way, this movie has no digital effects whatsoever, does it? Or does it?
I don't think so.
Because they could have de-aged you also.
Super-
Let's take questions from
You'll
the
get an
audience.
Irishman. to-
Folks, give me a wave if you want a question. I'll come around with this.
Yeah, so I've rarely seen movies. I've seen a lot of movies. I had no friends and was autistic. So I think I speak with some credibility with I rarely seen a movie with such like the weird, awkward you know, moments of life, you know. Like I've only seen like a few that are like as good as this. And so and I'm an asshole and rarely ever give compliments, so I'm not just talking out of my ass. Anyway, but I was wondering, like, is it like a period piece, like in the 90s or 2000s, or what? And is this stuff that like happened to you? Because it seems really specific.
Yeah, I mean, it's personal fabric. It's not, none of things really, you know, I mean, like I had a teacher who was wild and inappropriate, and when he died, it seemed like nobody cared, and this and that, you know what I mean? And he was like, really wanted people to do their best work, like that teacher at the beginning, you know. I've had mentally ill friends at that age when you're young and you look up to them, and to me it's about art fathers in some way, and there are just people in your life that come into your life that you want to hit their yardstick, these creative, wild people. And you know, if you're young enough and impressionable enough, someone can really, it's almost like brainwashing in its own way of just like, you could just be, you want to hit their yardstick, but they're fucked up people, they're warped people, you know, they're people with shadows, you know, and these are complicated relationships, bitter and complicated, the dynamics are really fucked up, and you know, it's almost the first tastes you have of adulthood as a kid in some way are with, you know, adults you shouldn't be interacting with, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Adults that you realize that people are just people in some way, and that you know, it's like an unmasking of some kind. Those cases. So in that way, it's personal, and you know, I wanted to be a cartoonist, and you know, I've had different people like that, but in no other way. Little details and things, and really just little worlds that I've inhabited is how that's similar. But
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
really cool.
and certainly, you know, people across all sorts of spectrums, you know, literally. Yeah. You know, the shared interest, you know, you don't get, if you have a really specific odd interest, you don't get to pick who you're gonna, you know, who shares these interests, whether it's old records or comics or, you know, like, and I've just had a lot of friends, like my best friend in high school was like, got me into old cartoons and played, you know, dusted off old ragtime sheet music, and it was just like, he had his own world of like traditional jazz people, like, those are their own, that's its own weird orbit, you know, like, and so I feel like in that way, the movie it's so it's specific in that way that it's universal. Yeah.
But you're part of a lot of these orbits. You're a comic collector, cartoon collector. Shane is a record collector, and film collector. And
The whole
that's why-
movie world, and you know,
That's why
yeah.
he's in your orbit.
And then even film has its own subsets or whatever. There's anthologies, the adult avant-garde.
Oh, by the way,
old
did
guard. There's
anyone notice?
silent comedy people. You know, there's.
Anyone notice this in the movie? A Film Forum popcorn bag? A little homage? Okay.
Next other question right here. Hey, Owen, I just want to congratulate you on your first feature. You really capture how feverish it is to be a young artist, and I wanted to ask you, like, what your advice would be for a young screenwriter and just keeping the faith, not, treating it like it's this holy thing, not, it's not a novel. You can't be precious about it. You have to find people who want to read it, could possibly make it. Like, talk a little bit about that.
First thing is convincing yourself and deluding yourself you can make it and doing it, you know what I mean, and figuring out a way to do it beyond your means. I think it's like this movie was designed to work in a small, as a small movie in some way. So you have to write to your means. You want to shoot for the stars, but you want to write to your means, especially for a first film. And I think, in terms of just like fielding notes and advice, it's like I like to have a lot of people look at something, whether it's an edit or a script, and if something's broken, generally people are pointing to the same things generally. And if two people have almost the same note about a concern over a section, you kind of know the piece is broken. I don't think they have. I've never listened to the solution. Just put the solution. Ultimately, it's about your voice and you have to figure that out yourself. So I mean that in terms of just drafting it, but just convince yourself you're going to make it, and you have to sort of like make a moving train for people to want to jump onto it and convince people, if you're not going to give me the money, I'm doing this myself, I don't care. You really have to have that attitude, otherwise nothing ever gets done. If you're sort of like, I'm waiting for the right collaborators, this and that, so we can develop it and get all the people I want, it's just never going to happen. So you just have to find a way, to do it. And it's the way it's meant to be.
One more
There's a question in the back here.
I really liked the conversation in the bedroom about art versus form. I think that's like a big debate, especially for filmmakers. It's something that you struggle with a lot, and a lot of times people end up in one category or the other. But I think this is a really good example of doing both very successfully. And my question was about earlier you said that you cut a lot of stuff that embarrassed you. Can you talk about any of the things that didn't make it in the film?
That didn't make it into the film?
Yes.
I mean, there was a whole. Oh sure, yeah. There was a scene where where the lead character goes to a high school party, and you're there, and you're so liberated, and you have like a boa on, like a feathery, something Phyllis Diller would wear, and like this white suit, and you're so comfortable and confident. This kid is so fucked up and angry from whatever he's going through, and just so self-loathing and learning to self-loathe from walls and everything, and he like really is trying to like degrade your ego. I didn't believe that the kid would want to show up to a high school party, so that was cut, that was gone. It also kind of disobeyed. I just wanted it to be this kind of descent of this kid only exists in this kind of microcosm of this world, like that kind of upset it. It was only at the end where we return and we get to see the family home that gets revealed. But for example, it was like, this is just sort of like a functional form thing like that. It took a while to figure out. I was like, the Christmas stuff happened in the middle of the movie, and then I realized that the loudest thing the kid could do is bring Wallace home, and we get to sort of go deeper into what's going on beneath it with him and the parents and what this kid's real background is, and that ended up getting moved to the end and built upon. You know what I mean? So we extended. It had to end in a drawing lesson, and it was a formal thing of like, if the movie's kind of bookended by these different lessons, both of them are really mixed up lessons, and learn something from both those lessons about art, but and mentorship, I guess. But having it be these bookends of the that and ending it with form versus soul in this conversation, which is kind of how the movie starts. He's like, no, fuck all these life drawings and everything like that you're doing, because you don't see any of your own expression, your own soul in these things, and it's these rough cartoons that you're doing, and you know, like try to put the soul into the form that you need to do with the life drawing, and takes off the clothes. Like, it is a good lesson in some way. It's just a completely inappropriate and insane one to do, you know, but he's doing the kid a favor, I think, depend whether or not, whatever, you know. But
Okay, let's end it with whatever then. The reason Owen is here this week is we're showing his grandfather's film, Who Killed Teddy Bear. You saw the trailer. We're showing Owen.
if you like movies about central characters being orbited by sort of, are they preying on them? Are they not preying on them? I mean, even this movie, even the public defender seems to have the hots for this movie. Everybody is a little bit unseemly.
It's a little
You
like
can't really pin.
Robert's a little like Juliet Prowse.
Juliet Prowse and Who Killed Teddy Bear.
Yeah.
But my grandfather, I mean, like, I was like a teenage cult film fanatic, and to find Who Killed Teddy Bear, and that my grandfather made this film. He had this illustrious career in TV and did these cheap, you know, sleazy little quickies in the 60s, and this is like just the ultimate cult movie.
The idea, Owen, is to get people to come see it.
Go see it.
It's playing
Who
through.
Killed Teddy
Actually,
Bear.
we've held it over. We're showing your 35 frame. If you want to see Times Square sex shops of the 1960s, this is the movie, right? It's got this great scene. But on Tuesday night, we have a special event. The other night, I heard from a guy named Josh White, who was famous for creating all the psychedelics for the rock shows of the 60s. He's in Midnight Cowboy, and he was with the Jefferson Airplane, and he's going to be here with me and Owen on Tuesday night, right?
And he was a producer.
He was the associate producer.
His first gig in New York, and
That's
so we're going to pick his brain about this mysterious story behind
Right.
this movie.
Anyway, I want to thank our amazing cast: Matthew Law, Michael Conway, Miles Emanuel, and of course Owen Kline. Thanks for coming. Thank you all.